friends! Welcome back to another video. I still have to do the backlog for my 2024, for January and February essentially, of my memory keeping and media journal that I just did the setup for in the last video. And the truth of the matter is that I'm not a backlog person. It's so tedious, and I'm not one of those people that thoroughly enjoys the backlog situation, so I've been avoiding it. But the problem with avoiding that is that the more I wait on backlogging, the more backlogging I have to do. So I am shooting myself in the foot there. So we are going to be doing that. It's going to take more than just one sitting because it's quite a lot. I mean, it's 2 months worth essentially of backlogging. So in case you didn't catch my last video, we are going to be doing my media journaling and memory keeping system in this insert from now on. I'm thinking that, we get different clips throughout the process and all that, and I wanted to sit down and do the intro for it right now because it's in my hair. Do not expect that all the time. Okay, yeah, so we're gonna jump right into this thing. As I mentioned in my previous, I think in the intro, I'm not a huge fan of backlogging. It's not something that I'm very fond of. And what I mean by I'm not a fan of backlogging, it's not so much that I'm not a fan of, if I'm behind, catching up on my journals. What I mean is the act of copying what I have in another journal into a new one and kind of getting everything that's old into a new one. That's where I kind of struggle a little bit, right? Because for me, if you don't know, I'm a type 4 on the Enneagram. And if you know what that is, then you know. But authenticity is a big deal for me. And this kind of notion of taking something that has already been written and kind of become a time capsule of who I was at that moment and getting transferred into a new journal as a version of me that is now different than who I was then. I don't know. Something about that makes my brain kind of like tickle a little bit in a not so great way. And so I had to do a lot of thinking about whether I wanted to just keep my paper test B6 for what it was and start new in my traveler's notebook TN, or if I was going to go through the trouble and the long process of doing the backlog. Ultimately, I decided that I would, but then comes another issue, right? For me specifically is, do I gut the paper test B6 trying to take out all of the stickers and the ephemera that I stuck in, or do I create something new off of the text that was in there and kind of remake it into a different type of spread? And these are all things that really, there's no right or wrong answer. This is a very personal thing. I don't want you to hear me say this and be like, no, you're wrong for doing it this. No, not at all. Something that I think I really love about this community is that we come here for these videos for inspiration. I am just explaining to you my struggles, the pros and the cons that I experience with backlogging, with this whole thing. And that session took me 2 hours, and I only really got through about 90% of the first week of January, and I have to backlog or transfer over about 2 months worth. So it's gonna take me a while. Maybe you like that. Maybe you're like, Lindsay Scribbles. She's planner hopping quite often, and she'll backlog. She'll completely transfer everything that she had from one journal into the other to keep it together. And maybe that's important to you in the same way, right? And for this specifically, I decided that it was important to me as well to backlog that information so that I could have it all in one for the purposes of archiving, right? And I also decided that it was okay for me because it was just 2 months worth, essentially. And not even the full 2 months, because I stopped doing stuff in my paper test V6 mid-February, right? So we're talking about maybe 4 or 5 weeks of content that I need to transfer from one to the other. If I had been hit with this urge to planner hop, came across this notion of, do I want to backlog or not at the 6-month point, I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have just cut my losses because that would have taken me way too long. And for me, it's a matter of like, what's more important, right? The time that I take to backlog this will put me back and delay me into being in this journal in the present. If that's less important to me than having everything in one book, then that's a decision you make for yourself, right? So there's no right or wrong decision to be made. It's your decision. There are no rules. There's no journaling police. There's no planner police, right? You have to decide for yourself whether the backlogging process is something that is worth it or not. In this case, in this scenario, I decided that it was worth it for me. So I'm going to go through that process. Yeah, I think that that's it for my little check-in. So I decided to do a switch up in my apartment and move my desk outside of the room and into the living space. But then since I have 2 distinct lines of business and space for only one desk, I needed to find a way for my desk to work for both recording and journaling sessions, but also for my virtual assistant work. So part of that involved me moving the rig where I set up the camera and the lighting and do a lot of the cable management. I had to set it up differently than how I had originally done it because I found that the desk was just too unstable, and during the filming the footage was just too shaky. And the girls were really curious about it as soon as they saw. And yeah, I think the desk is just gonna forever be a work in progress. It has gotten a lot better, and I really like where I set it up because I get really good afternoon light, and I managed to set up 2 distinct spaces that still work. So enjoying it so far. I was drafting up a newsletter here based on some musings in my morning pages. I'll include a little snippet of it later on, but if you would like to read it, I'll go ahead and leave the link down below for the Substack article. So is this the best way to film? Probably not. There's like a really harsh shadow on my face if you haven't noticed, and the sun is directly in my eyes right now. It is Friday, March 8th, so happy Friday. Even though you're probably not watching this on a Friday. You might be. If you are, happy Friday. So yeah, March 8th is 4:10 right now. The time change is gonna happen on Sunday, which I'm really excited about. But anyways, the reason why I am journaling right now in this crazy sun that is in my face and I'm not closing the blinds is because it's been super rainy the whole week. And so I'm just basking in the sun, quite literally basking. And then I am taking a jab at some backlogging. I just got home after doing lunch with a friend, and she made the most amazing chilaquiles, which is a Mexican dish. And it was so good. And so I got back on pretty ahead of schedule in terms of client work, so I'm taking a moment to just do some backlogging, which I haven't been able to do, and basking in the sun, like I said. So I hope that wherever you are, you're getting some sun. I'm not sure if I'm going to be posting this before or after the time change, but happy time change. I decided that I would take a break from my little journaling session to bask in the sun, but outside, because it is fairly warm today in comparison to how it usually is. It's like in the 50s right now, and the sun is out, so it just feels absolutely magnificent. Um, yeah, how are you? How have you been? I'm hoping that I can get the audio correct on this mic because I've had nothing but bad bad experiences with it. You don't understand. So yeah, this video has had many iterations, and ultimately I decided that I was gonna make it a vlog. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be a little different, but I hope that you enjoy it. I didn't really see myself as a person who was gonna start making vlogs when I started this channel. I wasn't ever gonna show my face actually, and then ultimately I decided that I was. So, you're seeing it now. Um, and I don't know why I suddenly decided that I wanted to show my face, but I did, and I do, and I am. But I hope that you're enjoying the content. I am still going to be making primarily journal videos, but I'm going to be sprinkling some vlogs in here and there because that's the kind of content that I enjoy watching, right? And so I figured I can try at it. I've always really liked videography and editing videos ever since I was really young. And so I figured that this would be a good way to kind of like bring back old hobbies, right? Um, yeah, I hope that you enjoy them. Again, I'll still be making long form journal with me's and all that good stuff. Ooh, there's like birds. I'm so excited for spring to come, you guys. Like the groundhog was right. This has been feeling like the oddest. Well, we're in March already, right? But it's so odd that all of the snow has melted. Like all of the snow has melted. There's only really small patches of snow in my yard, but for the most part, it's all gone. Like I'm not complaining. I keep saying that, like on my Instagram, I keep posting about how it's so weird that it hasn't been snowing and all that, and I want to end it with like I'm not complaining at universe. So this week I have been looking. I have been watching One Piece during my lunch breaks. That's kind of like the media that I've been consuming. I've been watching a lot of videos by Little Tiny Egg this week. Um, they're an artist and I really love their stuff. And so I've been watching a lot of their vlogs like over and over again as my sort of like body doubling companion and love their art. Yeah, this week I've been writing a bit. I'm thinking that I'm probably going to be able to get the newsletter out next week, which I'm really excited about because I had created the Substack to do weekly newsletters and just life has been so busy lately, right? And I've kind of been trying to focus on YouTube and also website and client work and just juggling all of these different things. And I think that this week I finally was like, no, I need to like focus on one thing at a time. I am trudging along with my my backlogging in the media journal, and particularly because of printed images, but I think I figured out a way around that. I'm just drawing in kind of like a template of the size that I want for the images, and then I'll just size them later and print them out. That way I can kind of go through and just write down all the information and kind of get that going. So we're trudging along with that. I'm feeling really, really good in my hobonichi cousin. Um, for like work. I've kind of like figured out my stride with that. So I'm really loving how that's working out in terms of like for work and for my kind of like productive projects and such. So really loving that. If you saw my health planner video, catch up video, I made a promise to myself that I'd try to stay up to date with it, and this week I have kept to that promise. So proud of myself for that one. Um, and yeah, I think that's all the updates I have for now. I am just now gonna sit in this chair and continue basking in the sun while listening to some music. This week, what have I listened to this week in music? I don't think I have anything noteworthy to talk about in music. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think so. Anyways, I hope that you are doing well. And yeah, let's just go ahead and continue with the vlog. So one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is this concept of transitional changes. Last year was a year of a lot of changes for me. The year went by really fast because of that, and I didn't get to do a lot of the stuff that I had wanted to. And so this year I was thinking about how I really have to change the way that I prioritize things based on the seasons. I come from living in places that really don't experience seasonal shifts, and so there's a different way you live when you can do anything during the year. Whereas in where I live now, there are seasons and they are very distinct seasons. And so I have to prioritize going out and being out in nature and getting sun and being active and getting out of my house as much as I can in the spring and the summer. And it's tough, right? Because for someone like me, I'm not really someone, I'm a homebody. I'm a homebody at heart, and I enjoy being in my house, but recognizing that in the winter, that's all I can probably do, right? Like, there's not much else I can do but be in my house. It's really difficult for me, given my current circumstances, to go out in the winter. And so this year, one of the things that I am challenging myself to do is to live according to the seasons. And there's this book that I really want to read by Jacqueline Susskind that talks about that specifically, right? About living according to the seasons, not only the seasons of nature, but the seasons of your life. We all experience seasonal shifts within us, but that's kind of like one of the things that I've been thinking about lately this past week, now that we're getting into spring and you can feel it with the changes of the weather, with it being warmer and experiencing rain instead of snow, kind of like shifting my perspective on how I'm going to be living this life this year, you know? So that's my call to you, to live life according to seasons. Whether you live in a place that has distinct seasons in nature or not, live according to your seasons, right? Maybe you're living a season right now that's very busy. Maybe you're living a season that is filled with sickness. Maybe you're living a season that is extremely stressful. Maybe you're living a season that is pure happiness. Live in balance, live according to what your body needs and your mind needs. Be aware of your surroundings and be aware of the people around you, and be aware of what your soul is calling you to, and live according to that. So yeah, that's my little deep thoughts for the vlog. So for those of you that watched my TN video, my video where I set up my traveler's notebook for my media journal, you'll know that I had experimented for a little bit in using my media journal and a rings planner. I found this one on Mercari for a really good price. It was like 35 USD because it didn't have the pen loop, which was perfectly fine for me because I don't like pen loops anyways, so I would have cut it off to begin with. So I had tried experimenting with using this as a media journal, and I bought a bunch of dividers, and you can see I made some spreads to kind of like test it out and see how it went. But I was kind of going back and forth with Franklin Covey compact versus personal size, and it was just a whole thing. I had a meltdown. Eventually I ended up deciding to go into my TN, which has been the best decision I could have made. But that left me with this journal that I still really wanted to use, that I still see a lot of value in, but not really sure what to do with it. So I've been experimenting with the idea of using it as a writing journal. But then once again, going back and forth, I decided to use the Franklin Covey, but I actually do really prefer personal size. There's something about the thinner dividers, and then also when you close it, it doesn't jut out. But then I really like these dividers that I bought from Peanuts Planner Co. But they're Franklin Covey size. And so I was watching a video that Sam's Plans made. She had tried to use the Franklin Covey size, but then decided to switch back into personal, and had a similar issue where she had bought dividers for the Franklin Covey size, and all she did was cut them down. And I was like, wow. That's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? And once again, I'm saying, like, that's the beauty of this community, right? That's why we watch these videos, because sometimes all you need is to hear someone say something and it'll spark an idea in you. Sometimes it sparks the same exact idea of like, yeah, that's exactly what it is that I've been trying to figure out to do and couldn't come up with it. And sometimes an idea or something that is said sparks something else, but you wouldn't have gotten there unless you heard the original thought. So anyways, I do think I'm going to go ahead and cut these out at some point. And I've been kind of working around the idea of using it as a writing notebook. I wouldn't consider myself a very big fictional writer. I definitely write more on the sides of poetry and personal essay. But there is a fiction story that has been in my head since I was in high school that I really feel like I want to like work through. And so I was thinking of having a section for like fiction writing, a section for my poetry and haikus and all that stuff, and a section for like newsletter ideas. Like for example, one of the newsletters that I'm currently drafting right now came from a little session that I did in my typewriter. So having papers ready to just type on the typewriter and being able to stick them in here. So I'm going to experiment with setting this up as a writing journal of sorts, as a writing resource. It's not going to be a commonplace, which is something that I had also considered, but I am keeping my commonplace in my camel TN, and I absolutely love having it in here. I love having this little setup. I haven't been in here very much because I've been focusing on the backlogging process in my media journal and life archives journal, but I do really enjoy this for my commonplacing, so I won't be doing that for here. I did also consider maybe having like a reference section, but I think I do want to use this for writing, so keep an eye on for that. And if I end up doing that and cutting these out and actually setting this up properly, then I'll make sure to add a video. When I first went to when I first bought this and I was going to use it as my media journal, I had started recording footage on the setup, but then since I didn't end up using it for that, I didn't post it. And another reason why I prefer personal is because I just bought a lot of personal size inserts and whatever. And I just prefer the personal size. I like that it's more compact. And then this Filofax came with some extra personal inserts, and I just really like the size. So yeah, I think I'm going to experiment with using this for writing. And if there's any updates on this or a proper setup, I'll make sure to record that and get it posted. But that's my update on the ring planner. Here's my little rotting partner. She just wants to be near me because she wants food, I think. Not because she's trying to comfort me. She's not that kind of person. Suki. 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 She always responds to her name. She must know that she's being recorded and is camera shy. I had a question, right? Now that I'm going to be doing kind of this like vlogish style video every so often, I wanted to know what your like music vibe is, right? Like what kind of music do you prefer in these? Do you like a more jazzy kind of feel? Are you the lo-fi type of person? Do you enjoy guitar and acoustic? Do you like vocals? Let me know in the comments what kind of music you like, because I want to make sure that the kind of music that I use vibes with you, that you vibe with it. I mean, end of the day, you could always mute it. You could always mute the video, right? And put your own music. But yeah, I just love to know. I love interacting with you guys, and I like listening to what you guys like and all that good stuff. So leave a comment and let me know what kind of music you enjoy. Hi. So welcome to the end of the vlog. I hope that you enjoyed it. Closing out, it is a beautiful, beautiful sunset. So this time change has definitely kicked my butt. It tends to do that. I haven't been sleeping very well. Just kind of like throws off my schedule a bit, and it's a little hard to readapt to it. But we'll get there. We will persevere. I really wanted to have finished backlogging in my media journal, but you know, I want to be able to post this on Friday, and in order to do that, I have to make sure that it is edited on time. So we're gonna leave it at that. I did get through, you know, as you saw, a lot of it. I think I just have maybe 1.5 weeks left. I'll go ahead and include that in the next vlog, and then I'll also include me printing and cutting out the images and all that stuff. But yeah, please let me know if you enjoyed this format as well. I am still trying to figure out what I'm gonna call it, like the series. I haven't decided yet, but um, if I have come up with a name, it'll be in the title, so you'll know. And yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed it. I will finish off with some clips of the sunset so that you guys can appreciate it as well. And wherever you are, I hope that you're doing well. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.